You're listening to the How to Talk to Girls podcast with your dating coach, Trip, from tripadvice.com. Do you struggle with getting girls to like you? Well, you're going to learn step-by-step how to talk to girls to create deep connections and meet the woman of your dreams. Here's your host, me, Trip. Trip Kramer here from the How to Talk to Girls podcast on the Attraction Arsenal mini-series, episode number 8, where we're talking about first date attraction. That's right. So we've texted her. We've gotten her to agree to meet up. You've picked a great spot, maybe for a drink, maybe for some dinner and an activity. Whatever it is, you got her to meet up with you. Let me tell you something. This is easy peasy here, okay? Pretty easy peasy. Now, I'll say this much. It's not as easy if this first date is coming from an online dating site or an app because she doesn't know you yet. That's why I love Cold Approach, because she can already get to know you way more and she's already much more attracted and invested in you for this first date. Otherwise, this first date is just your first initial interaction and meeting her for the first time. So there's a lot more pressure and more work to do, so to speak, if you're meeting her from an app or online dating. So let's just assume at this point that you have met her in person. More than half the work is done. We call this don't mess up. We call this the don't mess up game because that's all you need to do is just don't mess up. How do you mess up? Just being completely boring, saying things that are maybe just really creepy or weird. And I think that that's pretty intuitive. Hopefully, you're not saying anything that's like overly sexualized because that's just going to make her feel very strange. Save those things for the bedroom or when you're finally at that point. Being boring is talking about the boring stuff. What do you do for a living? And, oh, that's cool. And what do you like to do with your friends? And what are your hobbies? That stuff is fine, but really let's get some good conversation going and something more interesting. Let's talk about something that is going to be just a little bit more hard-hitting. What can we talk about? Well, there's a lot of different things that you can do. Here's a great tool for you. Go to Google, type in the 36 questions that make a girl fall in love with you. Pick 3 of your favorites and boom, say that on a date. That's the best way to get a conversation going and making it more interesting. Now, that's not just it. It's not just about conversation, but the first date needs to move along. You need to lead the interaction. So hopefully you can lead the interaction and get more physical with her. Hopefully this can at the very least, end up in a kiss. And that's what we want, right? So make sure that when you are getting her on a first date, that it's not just about you guys sitting and eating and, exchanging some sort of resume here. It's not what it's necessarily about, right? So make sure that after the date, you guys are getting physically close. Go for the kiss, and if it leads to more, great, it leads to more. So make sure that that is where it's going to, because the first date can't just be some boring resume exchange, all right? That's first date attraction right there. Check out the 36 questions. Make sure that you're escalating and moving the interaction forward because she's not a friend, okay? A friend just sit down and get coffee and they hug goodbye and call it a day. No. Now, again, got to be very clear here. Everything is with consent. So, you're only moving the interaction forward physically, if she's comfortable. Okay. We're not doing if she's uncomfortable. We're not doing anything that is going to make her feel uncomfortable. So make sure that you're moving forward appropriately, meaning that, go for the kiss and, go for being more physical. But if she stops you, then she stops you. And then that's that. Okay? Very simple, very easy, first date attraction. For more great tips on how to nail it on the first date, I go through the entire process at my Get Her Hooked program, getherhooked.com. Watch the video on there, read that page, learn about how to get her hooked and how you can get access to the program. And then once you do, go to the first date module where you'll learn all about how to kill it on first dates. So there you go. There's my hard-hitting tips for that one. And we're almost done here. We got 2 more episodes left in the Attraction Arsenal series. Let's talk about setting up the second date or the second meeting.